Yeah, here is UTM in 1984, question number 4. In this question, we are told P sold his bicycle to Q at a profit of 10%. Q sold it to R for 209 naira at a loss of 5%. How much did the bicycle cost P?
The first thing we're going to think about is P sold it to Q. Now, if we call the cost price for P X and P sold it to Q at a profit of 10%, that means Q bought it at 1 of 10% of X, because the profit made is 10% and this on its own is 100%. So if you sold it at a profit at an increase of 10%, it means the price that Q bought it is 1/10% of the cost price. Now that is for that. Now from there we're also told that Q sold it to R for 209 naira at a loss of 5%. So it implies that R bought it from Q at a price of 209 naira. At a price of 209 naira. And if this person sold it at a loss of 5%, since this will now represent, since 10% of X will now represent 100% of the cost price of Q, and is now selling it at a loss of 5% to R, it implies that R bought it 95% of the cost price of Q. So what would that mean? That means this 209 naira will be the same as 95% of the amount that Q bought it, and that would be of 10% of X. That is the idea. So if we solve this equation, we should be able to find the value of X, because the question is how much did the bicycle cost P, and we said the cost price for P is X, so that would be X. So if I had to solve this equation, we'll have 95%, 95 over 100 of X, of 110% times 110 over 100 times X will be equal to 209. So from here, if we make X the subject formula, X will be equal to 209 times 100 times 100 all divided by 95 times 1110. So if I had to simplify this, let me get my calculator out. If I had to simplify this, we will be having 209 times 10000 divided by 95 divided by 1110. So everything will result to 200 naira. 200 naira. Therefore implies that X is 200. Our answer is option A. Now that same year, under commercial mathematics, we are having question number 5 that same year. We are told if the price of orange was raised by 1/2 kobo per orange, the number of oranges customer can buy for 2 naira 40 kobo will be less by 16. What is the present price of an orange? Okay, if we are to look at this, we are told if the price of an orange was raised for 1/2 kobo per orange. So let's say that the price of an orange, the price, okay, let's say the price, let's use P for the price, as in price. The price of an orange is P kobo. P kobo. So if the price of an orange is P kobo, and the price is now being raised 1/2 by 1/2 kobo, it means the new price will be P plus 1/2 kobo. That will be the new price. Now we are told that the number of oranges customer can buy for this. So let's say the number of oranges bought is, okay, number of oranges, let's use n for the number of oranges. The number of oranges bought is n before. Now the number of oranges that will be bought will be n minus 16, because we are told that will be less by 16. So if that will be less by 16, it means the new number of oranges will be n minus 16. Now the price initially is 2 naira 40 kobo, which if we multiply it by 100, since 100 kobo make a naira, if we multiply that by 100, we will have 240 kobo. It therefore implies that the number of the total price or the total cost before is 2 naira 40 kobo. So if I want to get the total price, it's going to be the number of the price of an orange times the number of oranges will give me 2 naira 40 kobo initially. For me to get the total number of this, that's going to be Pn. So for this same new price now, if I want to get the total number or the total amount is going to be P plus 1/2 kobo times the total number of oranges now, which will be n minus 16. Is still going to give me 240 kobo, because this will be the amount that I can still buy it, since that will still be the same equation, since we are told if the price of an orange was raised by 1/2 kobo per orange, the number of oranges customer can buy for 2 naira 40 kobo will be less by 16. So for this person to still buy it for 2 naira 40 kobo, the condition is that the number of oranges will be less by 16, and this one has been raised by 1/2. So the same equation still applies. So what is the present price of the orange? So we are looking for P, the present price of the orange. Let's call this equation 1, and we'll call this equation 2. So if I are to solve these two equations, we should get the value of our P. So solving these two equations, you can decide to okay, since you can decide to solve it a couple of ways. But first and first, let's start with equation 2 by expanding equation 2. If we expand equation 2, we have Pn minus 16p, then we have plus 1/2 n minus 8 will be equal to 240. So if we have that, then Pn from equation 1, we know that Pn is 240. So we have 240 minus 16p plus 1/2 n equal to 240 plus 8. If you take this guy over to the other side, so by that we will now be having 240, let's call it like times negative 16p plus 1/2 n equal to 240 minus 240. If we bring the other 240 to this side, then plus 8. Here we'll now have negative 16p plus 1/2 n equal to 8, because 240 minus 240, that would be 0. So if we bring this guy over inside, we have negative 16p plus 1/2 n equal to 8. So how do we make any of this one? Remember, recall from equation 1 that Pn equal to 240. Therefore, I can say that P is equal to, or rather, let me say N is equal to 240 over P. So if I substitute this into this one right here, let me demarcate, sorry about that, let me demarcate this place. So we have negative 16P plus 1/2 times, instead of me writing n, then I'll write 240 over P equal to 8. Therefore, that will imply negative 16P 1/2 times 240, that will be 120 plus 120 over P equal to 8. If I multiply all through by P, I will have negative 16P squared plus 120 equal to 8P. If I collect like terms, I will have negative 16P squared minus negative, minus, not negative again, minus 8P plus 120 equal to 0. So the next thing is now for me to solve this simultaneously. How can I simplify this? By multiplying all through, or by dividing all through by negative 4. Okay, let me divide all through by negative 4. That would be 4P squared plus 2P plus 30 equal to 0. That means I could still simplify further. So let me demarcate this guy over here. If I divide all through by 2, I'll have 2P squared plus P plus 15 equal to 0. So this leads me now to 2P squared plus 15 equal to 0. And oh, there's a mistake somewhere around there. When I divided all through by negative 4, this plus sign will change. So that means I'm meant to have 2P squared plus P minus 15 equal to 0. So now this now leads us to quadratic equation, which you can solve using any of the three common methods. But if I think factorization will be faster here. If I use 2 to multiply negative 15, the factors that should work should be okay, let me solve it. Let me solve it. Negative, that would be negative 30. So what are the factors that should work? Factor that should work. 15 and 2 can work. This is a difficult factor to work out. So I think the best thing is to use your quadratic formula. Now, if you use your quadratic formula, for those of you that are very familiar with that, if you are not familiar with that, please try and get my DVD, Mathematics Elucidation. It explains it explicitly. So if you solve this using quadratic formula, using x equal to negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. If you do this, p should give you negative 3, or p should be equal to 5 over 2. So if we have p is equal to negative 3 and you have p is equal to 5 over 2. 5 over 2, if you look at 5 over 2 in the option, we can't find it there. So let's simplify further. This would be what? 2 number 1 over 2 cube. So our answer is option A, which is 2 number 1 over 2 cube. Now here we are told a man invested a total of 50,000 naira into companies. If these companies pay dividend of 6% and 8% respectively, how much did he invest at 8% if the total yield is, I'm pretty sure that is 3,700, not 3.7. So here, we're told in two companies. Let us call them company A and company B. For company A, there is a dividend. That should be another name for rate of interest, which is 6% per annum. Then 8% is the other one is 8% per annum. Now I said per annum here, even though per annum is not mentioned in the question, because rate of interest are usually given per annum. Anytime you see percent, you should know that it is given per annum. Now, respectively, how much did he invest at 8% if the total yield is 3,700? Now, yield, another name for yield in there is interest, because if you save money or you invest money, your yield should be your interest. That is what you're after. So that is for that. And so if a man saves a total of 50,000 naira into company, now he's saving this total amount here. We don't know the amount he invested at the 8%, but let's call that X. So if he's saving X in here and the total amount he's saving is 50,000, that implies that the amount he will save here will be 50,000 naira minus X, since he has saved X on this other side. So that is for that. Now the next thing is, how do we figure this out? Okay, how do we get the interest in here? Remember, the interest is usually PLT over 100. So for us to get the interest in company A, the interest will be the amount to save, which is 50,000 minus X, 50,000 minus X, times the rate. The rate is 6, times the time. We know that this is per annum, all over 100. Now the interest is saving in company B. Let me call that I sub B. The interest saving in company B will be the principal, which is X, times the rate, which is 8 times 8 over 100. So this will be 8x over 100. Now, how do we now go further here? We'll go further from this question, from this statement here, that states that if the total yield is 3,700, so total yield means the total interest. The interest from here plus the interest from here should give us 3,700. So that implies that we should have 6,000, 6 bracket 50,000 minus X over 100 plus 8x over 100 should be equal to 3,700. So if we solve this, we should find the value of our x, and that should be our answer. So first thing first, what do? Multiply all through by 100. If you multiply all through by 100, you have 6 bracket 50,000 minus x plus 8x equal to 370,000. Now what else do? We expand. 6 times 50, we have 30,000 minus 6x plus 8x equal to 370,000. Now what do? We simplify further. We have 300,000. So if you have negative 6x plus 8x, that will be plus 2x equal to 370,000. Collection of like terms. If you have 2x in here and we have 370,000 minus 300,000, we have 2x equal to 70,000. So if we divide both sides by 2, x will be equal to 35,000. So therefore our answer is option A, 35,000.